Hey folks, welcome to my channel. My name is Ted and we're here to talk about antiques. The study, the hunt, the recognition, the acquisition, the research, and for me, because this is what I do for a living, the sale. I've been an antique dealer for 30 years and a collector for 20 years before that. And I chose antiques as a career because I was passionate about them. And I knew there would always be more to learn. After 30 years, I feel like I'm just beginning to scratch the surface. I'm hoping to share some of what I've learned and take you along as we discover beauty and value, and maybe along the way, we can solve a mystery or two. Which brings us to today. I thought I'd look around and thought perhaps we could shed some light on a little group of pieces that belong to a woman named Jenny. Now, Jenny was a personal aide to President Grover Cleveland and First Lady Frances Cleveland, and took care of their children when they were young, and then stayed on for many years, even after President Cleveland's death, as an aide to Frances. Which brings us to the very first piece. This is Jenny, or a photograph at least, in its original battered period frame. Now, although I was given a hearsay history of these pieces, I have yet to learn her name. There's much written about the Clevelands, but as to their personal staff and the others behind the scenes, I have yet to find anything. Now, the second item is this hand-painted portrait miniature of Grover Cleveland in a period filigree brass frame. Now, some of you might know, but I had to look it up. Grover Cleveland was the 22nd and 24th President of the United States. He was a lawyer, a sheriff, a mayor, and governor of New York. When he was 27, his friend and business partner had a child, and he took an interest in the young Frances, buying her a baby carriage and looking after her as she grew up. And when her father was killed in a carriage accident, the court appointed Grover as the administrator of the estate. 10 years later, on a visit to the White House with her mother, Grover proposed to the 20-year-old Frances, and they were married in 1886 in the Blue Room of the White House. Now, Frances was the youngest First Lady ever, and was a lovely young woman and became perhaps the first influencer and a real tastemaker. She was so popular that her image was used without her consent in the advertising of cold cream and soap and tobacco. When Grover was running for his second term in 1892, her photo was placed between his and his vice presidential running mate in advertisements. Later, when it was rumored that she no longer was wearing dresses with a bustle, they were deemed unfashionable, and they've never reemerged. The third and most significant and personal piece is this 14-karat gold band. Obviously, Jenny, as a young woman, had very petite hands because it is quite a small ring. On the outside, it is engraved Jenny, Jennie. On the interior, it is engraved, and I quote, "From President Cleveland." As the years went by and Jenny's hands were not as slender, a ring was added so that the band could be worn as a charm or pendant. I would suggest that this is a supremely personal token of affection and speaks to a very special bond between the Clevelands and Jenny. And what remains are these three artifacts: a photograph, a portrait miniature, and this gold ring. Well, folks, thank you for hanging out with me today. And by chance you have any ideas on how to track down Jenny's full name and history, please message me. I think these pieces are really interesting and allow a glimpse into the relationship between a very public presidential family and their private, behind closed doors, personal staff. Now, if you enjoyed our time together, please hit like and subscribe. I'm planning a lot of different types of content, and I'd like to have you along for the ride. Now, if this video wasn't for you, then always remember, and never forget, you can't have tedious without Ted. Take care.